Hey y'all. So a quick message before we get on to your video. I have posted a new installment of This Is Me. It is the most important This Is Me video I have ever posted or likely will post. That is no pomp and circumstance, that is the tea. So if after this video you can head on over and watch it, that would mean the world to me. The link to that video will be in the description box below of your reading. And with that being said, on to your reading. Thanks. Hey Virgos, how y'all doing? Welcome. We're gonna be taking a look at your second half of October general reading. So in your meditation, I saw the image of the sea serpent from the Krans animal deck that we use at the top. And I saw this sea serpent go underneath the ocean and just lay all the way down on the ocean floor. And then it sort of sunk, but in a very intentional way. It wasn't sunk, it decided to go into the ocean floor, and it was like covered over with sand and ocean things. And then I saw emerge from that this huge, beautiful fish, like a huge, like enormous, like larger than life fish. And I saw this fish swimming about, just living its best life in the ocean. And then I saw when it came up close to the surface, like its fins on top, it really kind of looked like a dragon back or something. It was cool. And then I saw it go up to this, a bit of a shoreline. And on the shoreline were these images of kind of like a circus or a carnival, where there were clowns and balloons and kids playing and games. And I got this very distinct feeling that there is a freedom coming through for you on the other side of some extreme emotional healing and tying up of certain cycles. Because sea serpent is very much about emotional healing. It's that Jormungandr from Norse mythology of that sea snake that wraps itself around the entire world. If you're not familiar with the story, just briefly, was the child from Norse mythology, like I said, of Loki and Angrboda, the giantess. They had, some children, and I believe it was Poseidon, but it could be, not Poseidon, be Norse mythology, wouldn't it? Odin, maybe? Not sure. Anyway, someone who was a hater took Jormungandr, the snake that they had as a child, and threw it into the sea to banish it. And it grew and grew and grew until it wrapped itself around the entirety of the earth. So there's an aspect, if you really think about that, being cast into the sea, right? There's an aspect of that that's like, abandonment or disregard or just being flung to the wolves, so to speak. But in being in an environment where a lot of people could just drown and not survive, this serpent became a sea serpent and adapted to its environment to the point where it just became like the superstar. Like it became, when you think of like within that mythology, like when you thought about the ocean, the sea, which, Vikings, Norse people would use as their main, mode of travel in their ships, right? Jormungandr was like, a lot of how well you did on your journey was tied to, Jormungandr's movements and will. So it's really interesting how I feel like by adapting, you are able to thrive in an environment that may have had some challenges, which is really nice, actually. It feels really, really good and empowered. But the lightness, being able to put to rest that given cycle, it does feel like an ending and a beginning that is coming, and transforming into a fish that is so large and free, able to go whichever direction, and then going up to the shoreline and seeing this lightness, this happiness, kids playing and clowns. It just feels like there's a joy and a fun that's coming through, is available to you on the other side of this emotional cycle or emotional cleansing, as it were, being completed. Feels really nice. Let's see what your cards say. Hey Virgos, let's go ahead and see what your animal energy is for the second half of October. Animal energy to go along with that. Oh, Jormungandr, beautiful. Wolf has been coming up a lot today in these readings. So here you have beautiful Capricorn energy here with the wolf. So this, first of all, it's always very auspicious when you get an animal that is of your like element. So earth for earth, great news for you, Virgo. And it's really aligned with your meditation as well, because it just feels like you're moving into a time of lightness, which feels really, really well deserved and very welcome as well. So with this wolf energy, this is about connecting in with your instinct and really forging your path ahead from a place of pure feeling and inner knowing, right? You know, this also equates to the Hierophant, which is Taurus energy, your fellow earth sign in the Tarot, which speaks of a certain order to things, a certain way of going about things that is, you know, tradition-based or, you know, tried and tested. But I'll tell you this, and people have different responses to the Hierophant. Some people, you know, feel a type of way about it because it's a very rigid structure, but I'm going to tell you how I feel about it, especially as it comes up in this context. I feel very comforted, and I think you will too, when the Hierophant comes up, because there is something about the Hierophant showing up which says you're exactly where you're meant to be, and there's nothing necessarily for you to do, right? There are forces, it's a major arcana, so there are forces at play and at work which will affect you and involve you to some extent, but there's nothing particularly for you to do. You're looking at destined events that will come into play, but you've done the hard work, you've done the time, you've gone through the emotional cycle, you've closed out certain patterns, you're ready for something else. And I feel like this is a way station kind of feeling for you, but it feels like it's very well deserved and welcome. Like I said, it feels really, really nice, Virgo. Really, really nice. I just like want to take a deep exhale for you, right? It feels really good. Let's see what's going on. What's going on for Virgo? Oh, I love it. 9 of Cups, darlings, but of course, 9 of Cups. So first of all, this is wish fulfillment. This is the wish fulfillment key that you have coming through. And I told you it feels good. It feels light and right. So with this, do you see these oceanic symbols here with the starfish and the shells and everything? And then we saw y'all in the ocean as a fish. I'm here for it. You know, this is a really beautiful aspect and embodiment of you being able to sit down and have you a glass of fizzy or wine or sparkling grape juice or whatever this may be. It feels really, really nice. I'm also really drawn to the fact that you were looking at the second half of October, you know, in the Northern Hemisphere, we're moving into Samhain season. And then we also have this pumpkin here. And I feel like that is also representative of your harvest. Again, you've done something significant, whether you know it or not. There's some choices that you've made. There's some karmic cycles that you completed. You made some difficult choices. You went through some things. And now that cycle, your Mangonder has been laid to rest and you're a fish now and you have a lot more freedom and mobility, right? It's interesting how this is coming through for you, but it feels like this is really a time for you to really enjoy the fruits of your bounty. And also it feels incredibly important to acknowledge what you've done. I wonder how aware of this you are. I feel like you're pretty aware, right? It feels really good. Right. Queen of Cups, another one by the ocean. Hello. So Queen of Cups, now this is really brilliant because she is the queen of feeling, intuition, emotion. See how she's got her little foot over there on the rock with her little pedicure there? So she's still grounded. She's still grounded, but she is well and by the seaside and very connected to how she feels about things, right? Do you notice how everybody's sitting down? Why do I feel like that's so important for you? Everybody is sitting down. She has completed something, she's done the work. I feel like what we're talking about here is there's been something emotional that is healed, an emotional cycle, an emotional to do. Something is resolved or healed or completed in some way. Sometimes these are big things, sometimes these are small things. Sometimes these are just making different choices and getting different results because of it, right? This is being aware of our own patterns and choosing to do something differently. Again, this is different for everyone, but it is no less significant. It is no less significant. Why do I feel like you're just being given this big boon of like, well done you? Well done you. Feels really, really positive. Oh my Lord, it keeps getting better. You're the Lovers here. Gemini energy, which is love-based choices, it's inner and outer duality, but this is also just really feeling the love, y'all. Feeling really good. Do you know this is the heart chakra here? And we talked about emotional cycles, right? Things coming to a close, things being healed, patterns being shifted and changed for the better. I really feel like this is your time to simply just enjoy and pat yourself on the back. Pat yourself on the back. How do you feel when I say that? Pat yourself on the back. 'Cause it's hard for a lot of people to do, especially perfectionists or people who have issues around self-worth or feel like, no, there's more to do. But I'm really hearing to pat yourself on the back because you have made the love-based choices here. You have really made some significant shift in some way, shape, or form. And it's being acknowledged. It's being acknowledged. What's ahead of you is just, it's going to be very different because you've done something differently or you've completed certain karmic cycles or relationships. So then you just have, it's like a new production. It's a new show. The previous production has closed on Broadway and now there's something new being brought to the West End. It's something like that. It's something new. It feels really, really good, Virgo. It feels really, really good. Okay, I want to talk about wish fulfillment briefly. So let's talk about wishes and what we want. Sometimes we can be trepidatious around being very specific about what we want because if we don't get it, then it makes it harder because we were specific, right? I get that. That can also be a pitfall as well. And so it's like, well, how do we manifest from a place where if we're overly specific and we don't get it, then we're disappointed and it, makes us lack faith in the abundance of the universe? Or do we manifest or make a wish for just being happy? What is that? I'm hearing for you, it's a heady mix of the two. Like it's really brilliant to go, I recommend this a lot actually, is when I manifest, I desire to be happy. I desire happiness and let the universe figure out what shape that takes. And that's brilliant. But for you, Virgos, it feels like a little bit extra. And it doesn't feel like something you're being called to do at this exact moment. We do have the new moon in Scorpio coming up, which could be a really good opportunity for that. But this feels like this is something a little bit more because I feel like you know what you want. And I feel like what you want is aligned with happiness that could come to you. But I feel like you're being asked to get specific and believe that it's possible and believe that it's yours. Ooh, I just got shivies. That feels a little emotional to me. Feels a bit emotional. Okay? But it feels important. I feel like these are all the petals of the flowers where you went, I will get this. I won't get this. I will get this. I won't get that. Right? Be honest with yourself because what you want wants you. Okay. Leave that there. Let's get some advice, shall we? Some advice for the Virgos. What you want wants you. Yep. Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord. Seven of Roses, the journey. Okay, first of all, we were just looking at these rose petals, and then we have the Seven of Roses. There's roses all up in here on the Lover's Key. Interesting. So, the journey. So this is very much what it sounds like in terms of like, it's about the journey and not the destination. But this key is really about taking leave of everything that you've known and embarking for new lands. There's a quote that I always hear with this, which is, one does not discover new lands without consenting to lose sight of the shore for a very long time. One does not discover new lands without consenting to lose sight of the shore for a very long time, which is saying, are you willing to embrace the unknown? Are you willing to leave behind what is familiar and maybe even comfortable to you in favor of something that you may not be a sure bet or you may not know too much about, but that, could lead to endless possibilities of something that is bigger and better than where you are? This is a funny analogy, but I feel like it's like when you walk into a store of your own potential, do you go right to the sale rack because you know that there's going to be stuff there that you can afford? Maybe not stuff that you would really want because it's the sale rack. They may or may not have your size. You may have to, get a shirt that's a little too big or whatever have you. Or do you let yourself be led to like the biggest, shiniest display and go from there, right? It's okay. Just go with me on this because how this is coming through. I'm seeing someone who goes into the sale rack and gets a bunch of stuff that costs, let's say they get stuff that costs, $250. And they like what they got. They don't really love any of it, but they got really good deals and they got a lot of stuff. So they walk away happy. But then there's another version where they walk into the store and they skip the sale rack and go right to the biggest display in the store. And they see, a piece, a jacket, for example, that costs $250. That they love and cannot imagine living without, but they say no because it's too much money, but then they end up going to spend the same amount of money on the sale rack, and somehow it's better because they got more for their money, but they don't love anything that they got as much as that jacket. There's something about value received coming in here. I feel like there's something about your past or your given situation, which is all sale rack, but you're being guided, you're being asked to what if you could go off and venture towards that limited edition. My goodness, right? There's something about that for you. It's really, really interesting. But there's also this aspect of the value received. What is your relationship to value received? Is your value being received as its true worth? How do you receive your own value? How do you look at that? There's something about your mentality about abundance and lack that's coming up for call here. And you're being asked if you manifesting this different thing within this roadmap. It's about really examining your relationship to value, your own value, the value of the work that you do, the value of your relationships, the value of you within your relationships. Something coming through around that for you. Let's get an oracle. Why not? Let's get an oracle for Virgo. Ooh. But of course. So we have the chess queen here. Trust, strategizing, always, good advice there. What's really fascinating about this Virgo is that the chess queen's trust strategizing. It's very similar to the journey and the lovers in a way where you can plan for what you can plan for, but there's also an aspect of knowing when you're ready to move on to something else and knowing that you have everything that you need inside of you to graduate to the next level, right? This is sort of that aspect of know when you've done all that you can do from where you are, and from that point, go off and welcome the next thing. But I feel like with this, there's some aspect of your experience where you're not being challenged in the same way, and I mean challenge in a good way, right? Challenge keeps us interested, keeps us energized, right? Not bored. But there's something about where you are in some way, shape, or form that feels a bit like it's lacking the same kind of challenge that it used to. And you're being asked to really consider that and consider what you're truly capable of and be honest with yourself about what that is. Because I feel like you are capable of greater challenges, of bigger adventures, of greater value. There's something coming in around that. You can take that feeling and look at it in the forms of a chessboard and go, okay, let me use my Virgo pragmatic mind and say, what have I outgrown? What could I, what am I feeling itchy to kind of move on to or move on from? And let me pragmatically consider the steps to allow for that to happen in a way that feels not comfortable, but secure. Because I can go forward into the unknown with a full knapsack full of snacks and maps and umbrellas, and I can be prepared as I go forward into the unknown. And there's something in that for you. Preparedness is caring, right? There's something in that. But you are being asked to really consider what comes next from all of those angles, because it feels like there's something else. There's something else, and it feels like a reward. When you've completed certain cycles, right, new things are going to come through, and you're being invited to kind of consider what that menu looks like for yourself, and then move from there, from that perspective and that mind vantage point, really. Okay, it's really beautiful, Virgo. I am sending you so many blessings. I so hope that this helps and resonates. If so, please let me know in the comments below. I absolutely love reading your comments. One more thing, I have a favor to ask of y'all. I have published a video for This Is Me. So This Is Me is a series where I talk about all things personal and I let you in on the tea of what is going on with me. This video that I have posted is the most important one that I've posted so far because it involves you directly. It involves this reading. I'm going to ask you to please go check it out. It is very important to me that you watch it, and I would really, really appreciate it. And with that being said, please like, please share, please subscribe, all of the things. And just thank you, as always. Thank you so much for being here. And most of all, thank you for being you. And be well. Until next time.